Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Virgo energy. And like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Virgo energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy. Because we all have free will and we have to make decisions in our life. And in our more high vibrational nature of hope and faith and belief in ourselves and in love, we might want to live life a little differently or make some changes in our life. But it can be difficult because, we might have to step out of our comfort zone, and that can be scary. We kind of have people in our life that like us living life and viewing life the way we've been living and viewing it, and they might not be happy if we kind of want to live our life differently because maybe we won't stay at that job or hang out with those people as much or stay in a relationship with them as much. And so some people could be struggling within themselves. Other people aren't struggling within themselves. They've decided, I either want to keep living my life the way I'm living it because I don't feel the need to do things any differently. And they might be moving forward with people who are being on the same page as them to some degree in whatever that is of how you view life. And there's going to be other people that are like, no, we come in contact with all these different people in the world and we go on all these life experiences to help us get more and more clear about what our truth is. And some people realize that a way they were living life, viewing life, things they were investing their time, energy, and effort into, they weren't really right on the same page, and it wasn't really aligned with their truth. And so if they made that decision out of hope and faith and belief in love, they're going to be moving forward in life differently than they were moving forward before. Other people could decide this isn't my truth, but they might. The shadow row could mean that we want to repeat an old pattern because we're not ready to move forward in life differently, facing our fears or insecurities, and we want to stay in our comfort zone. We all tap into Virgo energy. It does have to do with what our truth is, what we want to invest our time, energy, and effort into. Are we more worldly focused, self-focused, ego-focused, indulgence-focused? If we are, we probably want to hang out with other people who are. High vibe Virgo is about learning lessons in life, and I live my life at a phase of life, and I learn lessons in life, and then I do want to face my fears. It's like wanting to grow to your full potential and not be manipulated by your more immature worldly nature. And when we're ready to move forward like that, we all are ready to free ourselves from things that manipulate us at different times in our life, and some people never free themselves from things that manipulate them. If it's their pride, their ego, their lust, their greed, their codependency, their fear, their insecurity, their pride, their ego, some people never do. Virgo is earth sign energy. You have to invest time, energy, and effort to, and that's kind of funny, the bottom row's reading, the reason for the reading is the Virgo hermit energy. We've all lived our life at different stages of life. We were 15, we were 18, we were 21, we were 25, we were 30, we were 35. We live that phase of life. We go on this new journey, but when we go on that new journey, eventually it can start to become we're kind of ready to go to the next phase of life, but then the shadow energy can represent all these fears and insecurities we have about continuing to kind of go to that next stage of life. And some people do this inner work to work through their own fears and insecurities of that it's time to let go of an old way of viewing life, living life. And the reason for the top row's reading is the Seven of Cups, which is Seven of Cups is Scorpio energy. We're emotionally complex human beings. We can have a lot of, our emotions can be confusing. We can have a lot of complex feelings and thoughts about people. I hate them, I love them, I don't want to see them, I hope they call me tomorrow. I don't like this, I do like this, I want to go, I want to stay. And we kind of have to work through all of that. And some people are willing to put in the work and effort to work through all that emotional confusion to get to the truth. Because High Vibe Virgo is about getting to the truth. And there's other people that are like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep doing this. You know, I'm sure I'll figure it out later. I'm sure it'll all work out. And some people don't even want to deal with their more emotional nature. Some people disregard, like, I can just ignore it. Or, I don't want... High Vibe Scorpio is about being in more deep, meaningful relationships and exploring the mysteries of life and willing to face our fears, go on the roller coaster of life. And some people are like, no, I'm good. They could kind of disregard and not pay as much attention to their emotional nature. Like, that's not as important. You know, some people could live more from their mind than their heart. I should do is practical and logical. In my Virgo energy, I might like to turn my back on my emotional nature because I find them confusing. And so I think I'll focus on these things of the world, putting in work and effort to have stability and security and be in relationships and get along well enough with people. But some people forever want to turn their back on their more emotionally complex nature, might prefer not to be in more deep, meaningful relationships. A more shadowy Scorpio energy, doesn't have to be a Scorpio sun sign that you were dealing with. We all harness these different traits and characteristics of the zodiac sign in a more high vibe, worldly, or shadowy way. And the reason why the high vibes reading came out is because they either live their life a certain way and they thought that was the truth, and then they ended up being emotionally confused. And at the end here, we have the Five of Pentacles, which can be feeling left out in the cold. It's like, wait a minute. I went and pursued this. I thought this was based on truth and love, and I thought doing this or getting involved in this or living my life like this would make me happy. And I'm confused. And I'm emotionally confused, and I could feel left out in the cold. And then we have the Seven of Swords, which could be where either we weren't listening to our intuition and we got more caught up in the Nine of Swords of living more from our mind than our heart. In the Five of Swords, which is Aquarius energy, we could have kind of gotten caught up in some things with the Lover's card, people that we loved, a way that we viewed life, all these things that we thought was going to be a dream come true, because the Five of Swords, being Aquarius energy, is also represented by the Star card about having a dream. But we could have been really influenced by living more from our mind than our heart. Like, this is what people in the world tell me to do. This is what my family tells me to do. You know, we grow up in the world, and our more worldly, shadowy energy is being more caught up in the world, and we get indoctrinated into the world, and our friends and our family and our state and our country tell us we should live our life like this. If we do this, we'll be happy. This should be your goal. This should be your dream. You should eat this, drink this, pop this, hang out with these people, don't hang out with those people. Make your life about this, not that. But we maybe got caught up in some things, which, yeah, we could have loved some of those things. But maybe we kind of really lost focus. We were kind of repeating an old pattern instead of looking to the future and staying focused on truth and love to guide our decisions and listening to our intuition. But we've all got lessons to learn. So we went and did those things that we thought for sure were going to be the answer and that we were going to be happy. And then sometimes we get in relationships with people and we're kind of really not on the same page. We harness our Virgo energy different, our Scorpio energy different. One person could like to keep their more emotional nature kind of buried beneath the surface, not really tap into it I don't really like to tap in to my emotions and my feelings because they're confusing. So I could prefer to live more from my mind than my heart. And then, one person can be motivated by having deep, meaningful relationships. They get in a relationship with someone who lives more from their mind than their heart. They both kind of could feel like, I kind of think you live your life and view life a little differently than me. Everybody could have some mental conflict, but there can be love there. There can be a lot of commonality, a lot of similarities. The Nine of Swords can talk about there's all these different things that we have to navigate in a relationship. Well, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? What about this? What about that? And we go through all of those things in a lot of ways. It can like check off all the boxes, right? Yep, yep, yep. I like doing this, and this is how you kind of view life in a way, and this is how I kind of view life, and these are things I like to do, and these are things you like to do. But then we have the Seven of Swords, and the Nine of Swords down to the Seven of Swords is the Two of Swords, which is Libra energy, and kind of, what we think is just and fair, and then with Virgo energy, kind of what kind of drives and motivates us. And again, one person could be more motivated and inspired by love. Another person might be a little defensive to love. Because you can get hurt doing love, and they maybe decide they don't want to really do love, and then it can be more about indulging themselves in a relationship and living more from their mind than their heart. And also, everybody could have kind of been deceiving themselves, is what the Seven of Swords talks about, which is also like the Five, the Six, and the Seven of Swords. And the Six of Swords could kind of take the replace the Nine of Swords, because we have the Five and we have the Seven. So the Nine is kind of taking the place of the Six in a way. And the Five, Six, and Seven of Swords are all Aquarius energy. What our dreams are. And were we listening to our intuition? Did we kind of get in relationships or workplaces or friendships with people where our intuition could have been telling us, I kind of really think at a core foundational level, that last sword of truth of what we love, what our truth is, it's different. I might be a little more fearful of love, fearful of being hurt, don't really want to do a deep, meaningful relationship. I'm willing to be in a relationship, but I might be okay with more superficial and shallow because I find emotions confusing. I just don't really want to do it. Can't we stay in a relationship and put in work and effort to have stability and security and status and image, and we all stay in it because of that reason? Isn't that good? Isn't that your truth? And then as time goes by in the relationship, we all kind of like to hang out with people who are kind of on the same page as us and view life the same way we do. And then as time goes by and one person is trying to bring a dream into reality, more being like, let's work through those things. Let's work through those things that kind of manipulate us. Our fear, our insecurity, our past pain and heartbreak, the world, other people in our life that we might love, other people that we could get in a relationship with that might be kind of more on the same page as us versus the person we're in a relationship with. And everybody can kind of be torn because it's like, could I love this person? Did I want a dream to come into reality with this person? Yes. But the people who don't want to be in a more deep, meaningful relationship, they would rather not work through those issues of why they view life the way they view it and why they don't want to do more deep, meaningful relationships. Because they could be perfectly okay and fine not working through it and not being in a more deep, meaningful relationship. So it's kind of like, if that's how you want to live your life, and the same thing can happen in a workplace. You can get in a workplace and you and maybe a supervisor or your coworkers or the person you go into business with, you kind of are motivated some Some people are more hopeful and believing and authentic and loving and encouraging. They're not as manipulated by their defensive nature or fearful nature, or maybe they're more, you could call it their more immature nature, and have more hope and faith and belief in themselves and in others, and believing dreams can come into reality. And other people, I don't think that way. I think you live in fantasy land. And I think maybe you should trust people. The Seven of Swords, you're either up in your head, kind of focused on Three of Cups of wanting to work together with people from love, because the Three of Cups is Cancer energy, or you're up in your head and you always have fear that people are harnessing their Cancer energy in a shadowy way, regardless of what zodiac sun sign they are, but that people use their emotions manipulatively. And some people have a lot of fear because of life situations they've went through, just like the rest of us have went through some life situations where people were deceptive and manipulative, and they weren't who they said they were. But high vibe people didn't give up their dreams. They just saw the truth that I was in relationships with some people who could have been prideful, egotistical, stubborn, weren't very loving, weren't very nurturing, were more superficial, shallow, bossy, controlling, whatever they were. I saw the truth of it. And I realized, even if they were people, because, in our own family, brothers and sisters can all be very different from each other. Parents can be very different from their children. And I think I think the reason that is, and it's beneficial, is it helps us have more compassion for people, because we love those people and have love for them and wish them the best. But it's like, do I really want to hang out with you? No, not really, but I wish you the best, and I'll see you at Christmas, because they might completely, we're just all different, right? And what they think is just and fair, what you think is just and fair, what they think is just and fair, and how they interact with people in relationships or with you is different than what you think is just and fair, and how they want to go live their life and how you want to go live your life. And I think it just helps us have more compassion when we meet other people. It's like, oh yeah, you might remind me of some people I've known in my original family, or people I had in friend groups or that I've worked with. Can I wish you peace, love, and joy? Yeah. Am I going to get in a long-term relationship with you or be in a long-term friendship, like a more involved, deep, meaningful relationship? No, because we're very different. But you go live your life and I'll go live my life, and we just accept that, we all have our truth and what we want to invest our time, energy, and effort into. And the things you enjoy investing your time, energy, and effort into are different than the things I like to enjoy my time. And we just, accept the truth of it. But it can be really hard when it is someone who maybe was a long-term friend, or we were hoping to marry, maybe, move forward with, that we wanted to keep staying in a long-term friendship or romantic relationship with. We did get in a long-term relationship with them, whatever the case is. And then it's difficult because the Five of Pentacles is Taurus energy, which kind of talks about our philosophy of life, and it affects the decisions that we make. And some people could still have a lot of mental conflict about being illuminated to the truth that it is supposed to be about love, or offering them self-love to get over their mental conflict about people in their past that were shadowy, right? To have some hope and faith and belief in other people, or to have hope and faith and belief in themselves. And, some people could have thought, instead of actually healing from the 5 to the 9 is the Four of Swords, which is Libra energy again, I don't have to meditate on the truth. I don't really have to heal. I think I don't have to heal. I think I can just move forward with someone else. And I don't have to deal with that baggage. I can hide that baggage. I could hide that I'm emotionally confused. I could hide that there's someone else that I do think is more on the same page as me, but that person is in a relationship with me, so I'll get in a relationship with you. I'm really worried maybe about my dreams coming into reality, and I want these things that other people have in the world, and I want to be in a relationship. I don't want to move forward. And again, people can get caught up in their fear that I'm afraid if I don't do this, and I do have hope and faith and belief in myself, maybe I'll end up left out in the cold. And so then their fear and all that is kind of what dictates the decisions they make. Or I don't like being single. Maybe when I am single, maybe I do kind of get caught up in my head, and I really could maybe get depressed, and I get, and it's all kind of life skills that you learn as life goes by. And as we have more experience dealing with those things, and looking to people in our life and loving and encouraging ourselves, but we can all have been in more codependent energy where we're always kind of looking to get in relationship with other people that might be around to get in a relationship with, because we just haven't really learned to love and believe in ourselves. Up here we have the Hierophant, which is also Taurus energy. High vibe Hierophant energy. Taurus energy is about walking the talk. And Virgo energy is being illuminated to the truth. And the truth is, love is the answer. But if we haven't learned to love our own inner child nature, be like a good mother, father, coach voice in our own head, and invest in listening to our intuition. The High Priestess is Cancer and Pisces energy, and the feminine figures in tarot can talk about how we think and feel. The masculine figures in tarot can talk about action we might be taking in the world, but it can also talk about how we're kind of manipulated by our more worldly, egoic nature, and whether we're male or female. And this would be a masculine figure, so that would mean to take action, whether you're male or female, with the lessons that you've learned in life, that if I keep repeating some old patterns that already have shown me they don't end up getting me the end result, and I feel left out in the cold and confused, I need to figure out what's going on here, because I don't want to keep repeating this pattern. So then we see the truth, that the truth is love. I need to take action in my life and start walking the talk. And it starts within me. And I need to be, High Vibe Taurus is like being a spiritual leader in the world. We need to be a spiritual leader to ourselves. And invest time, energy, and effort to Earth sign energies. And then the Page of Pentacles represents all three Earth sign energies, Virgo, Taurus, and Capricorn. I need to start listening to my intuition and aligning in Pisces and Cancer energy with my more emotionally intuitive, loving nature, and be like a good parent to myself. Be loving and encouraging to myself, because if I don't, then in the Sun card, we are like illuminated with our high vibe energy. And I view the Sun card as Leo energy, where we're out of our more shadowy, immature, codependent ego nature to be in high vibrational energy. I choose to give myself the things that I wish other people would have given me. I have the free will to belittle and berate myself, stay in denial, be up in my head, be stressed out, be mad, be in frustrated energy. Or I can choose to love and believe in myself and be like a good parent to myself. I offer myself love and compassion and forgiveness for the lessons I've had to learn. I'm willing, high vibe Virgo, I'm willing to learn lessons in life. And that makes me think of that Bible verse when when I was a child, I thought like a child, I spoke like a child. When I grew up, I put away my more childish ways. You know, we learn lessons in life, and we have to offer our self-love and compassion. We've been immature, bossy, controlling, whatever on the spectrum, lazy, hadn't learned to love ourselves. We've dealt with other people in our life that we could love. They got those same issues. Some of those people never did that work. And so they could have stayed more bossy, controlling, prideful, egotistical, immature, superficial, shallow, wanting to win at all costs, egotistical, whatever it was, defensive. I just accept the truth that everybody is where they're at. If everybody had known better, everybody would have done better. But everybody has to make that free will choice. And some people, because of things that happen in their life, or just decide I'm going to live more from my mind than my heart. I don't have to do that work. I don't got to work through that stuff, you know. And then people that are in their life kind of feel rejected and feel left out in the cold because they weren't very loving and nurturing and warm and authentic and encouraging and all those things that we would have wished people would have been. But if we can look at life, High Vibe Aquarius is about looking at life from a higher perspective and putting things in perspective. You know, some people are kind of driving their life off into the ditch and they're not doing very well. And other people really are kind of doing the best they can, you know. And we could wish they could do better, but, you know, life is all about learning these lessons, and from generation to generation, hopefully people learn lessons and change some old practices and some old philosophies of viewing life and how they interact with people and how they treat people and things like that. And so then the high vibe people from the 5 to the 9, you know, we can't, again, that's the 4 of Swords. We can heal from our past pain and heartbreak. We can't make other people heal. If they still want to live their life the way they want to live it and have the viewpoints they have and act the way they act, and, you know, that's their free will choice. But I don't have to stay in pain and heartbreak about it. I just see the truth that they might have a way of living life that makes them feel safe and secure. We'll all stay in our comfort zone until we're ready to step forward in life differently and kind of face our fears and deal with the truth and illuminate the truth and love ourselves and grow and heal and mature ourselves and walk the talk and have that more hopeful, believing spirit. And some people may never get there, you know. And so then it can be a struggle, though, still. We can have healed. And then sometimes, what if someone wants to come back and, just like us, you know, we've all had lessons learned in life. We all could have been more immature. There were certain friends that, and people we could have dated that we didn't even really give much attention to and become friends and date them. Or we did become friends with them and we kind of dated them, but then we got out of relationships with them. And the whole thing is, you know, we could have felt like we were not on the same page. That, you know, you're kind of going this way, I'm kind of going that way. Taurus energy can represent all these different philosophies of life that we have. You know, it could be religion. It could be societal norms, cultural norms, what you think, what I think. It could be big city, small city. You know, you're here, I'm there. You know, maybe some relationships, some things with some people, we could have been confused and we didn't understand. As we're moving forward, we could communicate to other people, hey, I've been kind of illuminated to the truth. I didn't think we were on the same page. I kind of went and live life and learn some lessons in life. And maybe I had a way of viewing the world and that was more aligned with my philosophy of life. And I thought we were kind of on different philosophies or weren't on the same page. Now it could seem like sometimes people, could want to do different things in their life. And then later you kind of find out, oh, I like doing this too. And they're like, me too. And, then you might have to work through some of those things. And then some people could have some mental conflict, if they have gotten in different friendships and move forward with different people in their life. It's like, oh, wait a minute, this is someone I loved. And then sometimes people kind of have to think about, what is my truth? Is it the people I am currently have in my life or I'm moving forward with? Is it someone that I've known or did know? And for some people, they could be kind of struggling within that. And then it's to try, to deal with the truth of the situation. Why would I be tempted? Why am I kind of tempted to keep living my life the way I live it and with the people I'm in relationship with? What about the people who are currently in my life and moving forward with me? What is it that drives and motivates them? Do I feel like I'm in a relationship with someone who I might be a more loving, nurturing person, but they're more immature and codependent? Is there someone, and I could have love for people, but who do I think is more on the same page as me? Who is trying to emotionally confuse me and use the love that I have for them to try to manipulate me and control me, get me up in my head and my fear and my insecurities, to not maybe love and believe in myself and be more authentically myself and live my more authentic life? Who is more on the same page as that? Who isn't? Why don't I move forward being more authentically myself? Is there people in my life, because we have this dualistic nature, we have these different people in our life, and they want us to be in a relationship with them, but there's some of the people that are in more worldly, shadowy energy. They can try to get us more up in our head and our fears and our insecurity and our lust and our greed and our pride and our ego. I don't think you should listen to your intuition. I don't think you should hang out with those other people. I wouldn't trust those people. I think those people are just trying to manipulate you. I think they're going to leave you out in the cold. Or just our own worldly ego nature. I think if you go do what you would really like to go do in your life, I don't think you're not going to have like the stability and the security and the status and the image that you want. And you should make your life about these things instead. And sometimes people were more caught up in the world and putting work and effort into their career instead of love. And then as time goes by, we can realize I have all those things in the world, but I don't have love. And then it can be, gee, I thought all these things would make me happy, and I thought if I lived my life like this, or I made it more about me, or I made it more about money or status, that I'd be happy, and I'm confused, and it doesn't feel very abundant. It has all these things, and people want me to keep moving forward, living my life like that, but I'm hiding that I'm confused and I feel left out in the cold. I have all these things that some people would think I should be happy, but I could find it superficial and shallow. And I could be willing to give up a lot of those things of the world, because we can know some people, they're all in the 10 of Pentacles. There's a maximum of 10. They're all in their Virgo energy. I love the world. I love me. This is what drives and motivates me. This is how I define my worth and value. There is no, in Libra energy, the scales are tipped in favor. And that's what we're going to encounter in a world of duality and free will. Some people are going to be all in, being about themselves, winning at all costs, wanting to look like they're a shining star in the world and having a certain amount of money and stability and security. And, it's imbalanced. High vibe energy is about balance. The Ten of Pentacles is Virgo energy. How much do I need? How much attention do I need? How much money do I need? How much power and blah, blah, blah do I need? Do I have enough? You know, am I willing to sacrifice living my authentic truth, really walking my talk in my more hopeful, believing inner child nature of having hope and faith and belief in my dreams? To listen to my intuition? Am I going to ignore my intuition? Ignore love? Or am I willing to illuminate the truth, work through these issues, look at those things I keep hidden in the dark, look at the things that some people in my life might like me to ignore and not look at the truth about? Like, they might be more like that and they want me to be more like that, but that's not my truth. And I can love them. They could be my group of friends. They could be my siblings. They could be a romantic interest. And if that is how they want to live their life, and that makes them in their kind of Libra energy of the Two of Swords, and then in the Six of Swords, that's their truth, and that's their idea of living the dream life, well, everybody has the free will to live their life the way they want. And if I've come to realize that's not my truth, and it is really confusing because I love you, but can't we, you know, if it's friends or siblings and stuff like that, can't you live your life and I can live my life? Well, some people don't like that because if they know that they live more from their mind than their heart and it's not really love that drives and motivates them, if the other people go live their more authentic life and they're not as manipulated by their mind and their fears and getting in jobs and relationships and staying in them more out of lack mentality or because of materialistic reasons or fear or codependency, you know, sometimes they don't like to see other people be more bold and brave and confident and live their more authentic life, because then it causes them some mental conflict about how they're living their life, and then it could get them up in their head, why don't I live my life like that? You know, why am I staying where I'm staying? It causes me mental conflict. But I just never maybe even knew other people who were more bold and brave and confident. And everybody was kind of living their life like this, and nobody was willing to step out of their comfort zone. And now someone did, and now it's like, shit, now it's got me up in my head. What is my truth? And shit, should I stay in this job or go get a different job? Should I stay in this friendship or relationship or should I leave? Am I bold and brave enough to detach from something that by worldly standards seems to have all these things of the world that in my more worldly Virgo nature I want? And we're all really tempted in our worldly nature to make our life about those things, but it's kind of can be like we're creating an illusion about how wonderful our life is. I just love this job. I just love these people. This is such a deep, meaningful relationship I'm in. And it's all just an illusion. And so that's why some people in like the Two of Swords can really have this struggle within them. Because while I love these people, and these people want me to be in a relationship with them and align with them, but then I can find those people really loving and encouraging, and they're not maybe as superficial or shallow, and they encourage me to love and believe in myself, but then I'm like torn. And then those people have to make that decision, and some of you could have been in relationships or friendships with people that they weren't ready to move forward. And everybody could have kind of been stressed out about it, but eventually everybody kind of has to make their decision. And sometimes people can get in relationships or marriages and you don't realize that they have this inner conflict within them. Well, you're like the third party to this relationship, which could be I'm more aligned with my defensive nature, but I want to marry you and have children with you, and I'm going to create an illusion that I'm going to be willing to do love, but my more fearful, insecure, defensive to love nature. So I love and align with being defensive to love, because Gemini of the Lover's card and the Nine of Swords is our dualistic nature. And some people have a lot of fear about people maybe being manipulated. And so they don't really like to authentically invest themselves in people in a relationship. And it is like creating an illusion. I'm willing to do love. And then as the relationship goes by and the high vibe people are trying to have the relationship grow and mature over time, and where we detach from some old foundations to have this new beginning and this more authentic, deep, meaningful relationship. And the other person is like, and they, it keeps not happening. And the high vibe people are like, why isn't this dream coming into reality? And that's when they can see that some other people either aren't willing to detach from their defensive nature to be more authentic and loving, or if they have other people in their life that is their kind of primary foundation that they look to. So high vibe energy, high vibe Virgo, also represented by the Nine of Pentacles, is about being more independent from your worldly, shadowy nature, more immature, self-centered nature, and your more codependent nature. Some other people are like, sorry, I'd like to be in a relationship with you, but this group or whoever it is takes precedent in my life. And I created the illusion I was more independent than I was, but I'm not. And basically, if those people have mental conflict with me moving forward in life differently, and they want me to align more with them and let you go, I will let you go. And that's when you kind of are illuminated to the truth that people weren't who you thought they were. They were creating an illusion. And for some people, they could have gotten in relationships with people and they really hadn't gotten over some past pain and heartbreak. And if that person ever offered them a new opportunity while they were moving forward with another opportunity, it's like the Seven of Cups can represent that you have options. Some of those people are like, oops, sorry. I'm going to go get in a relationship with this person. And it wouldn't be bad so long as people tell the truth. And people are honest. I've been kind of confused in this relationship. Kind of feels like we have conflicting goals. How you want to move forward and what drives and motivates you. That's really kind of not my truth. The only thing is some of the people who are just fearful of love, being more hopeful and believing and authentic, that is way too scary. And they get all up in their head. And then they think, I'll just go find someone else to go get in a relationship with. Because this is just so out of my comfort zone. And I'm so afraid of trusting other people. And I'm not listening to my intuition. And even these people are being loving and encouraging and authentic and supportive. It's like people... Well, they got some hard lessons to learn, because one of the lessons to learn is to listen to your intuition and not let past pain and heartbreak and fears and just other people to see the truth of who people are in your life. And are they being authentic? Are they being warm and encouraging? But then some people could be like, they might also not want to see the truth, that their truth is they are more aligned. This is like fire and water over here, being more aligned with being creative and inspired, listening to your intuition, motivated by love. And they were kind of deceiving themselves. Their philosophy of life is they could be more motivated and aligned with their more worldly nature. And they're not ready to maybe quit making their life about those things. That's still, for some of them, the most important thing. And some people were deceptive and manipulative about it. And they didn't tell the truth. And some people could think because I have a certain status or image, I can create this illusion about why that relationship didn't work. I don't have to tell people the truth that this person wanted me to be more independent. This person wanted me to work through some of these issues that kind of manipulate and control me, and I don't want to work through those things. I'd rather just ignore them. Or I have other people in my life who kind of manipulate me, and I'm more codependent, and I don't want people to know that. The whole thing is when we don't tell the truth, you know, a lie can follow you around forever, and the truth sets you free. And some people have some lessons to learn about that. And then another aspect of shadowy energy is some people do want to live a life of illusion. I have these illusions about what it means to be in a relationship. I like to get in relationships with people who aren't being deceptive and manipulative and prideful or bossy or immature. I like to be in relationships with people like that. That's great. But I kind of like to live more from my mind than my heart. And I could be kind of more about myself. And I could be kind of immature. And I could be kind of stubborn about getting out of my ego and being willing to learn lessons. And I could be kind of deceptive and manipulative in a relationship. But they think it's just and fair. Because that's, you know, anybody can view life any way they want. And some people think, I think that is just and fair. My whole idea of the dream life is for me to hide my more shadowy nature. I really am more aligned with my shadowy nature. I am more about myself, about my ego and my image. And I indulge my more immature nature and my more worldly nature. But of course, I want people to get in a relationship with me, so shadowy Virgo, can be about hiding the truth. I'll just create this illusion that I am this pillar of society. I have this certain status and image. I am like this hopeful, believing person to try to get more authentic, loving people to get in a relationship with me. And then once they get in the relationship with me, and I get them to move forward with me in the relationship, then I don't know, what could they be doing? Well, it could just be where it's more about them. I want to look like a shining star. That is the driving goal. I want to look victorious and successful. And eventually, over time, the relationship becomes less abundant, from the 10 down to the 5. Because they just create an illusion, because that's the most important thing. That's what shadowy energy can be about. I'm not being truthful and honest and authentic and loving. I'm more caught up in trying to create this illusion in the world of how great and wonderful my life is. So long as people look at me and view me as having this great and wonderful life, I view that as victory and success. And then a relationship, they're not putting work and effort into it. The other people might be putting in work and effort into it, but it never kind of really, goes to the next level. Never gives birth to something new, because they don't want to give birth to something new. I'm okay doing this. This is the way I view life. It looks victorious and successful to me. And then I think they're always stressed out in a relationship, because they're kind of more about themselves and the world. But not everybody views life like that, and they get in relationship with people who have that more hopeful, believing spirit, aren't operating more from their egoic nature, who want to work through some of their fear and their insecurity and their self-limiting beliefs to free themselves from that old foundation and move forward in life. But they don't want to do that. It's like, no, I want to stay here. And it's like trying to stop people who are creative, inspired, hopeful, believing people to like stunt their growth, because shadowy energy can be like dead, stagnant energy. It's not giving birth to anything new. But other people going with the flow of life, you do shed old layers of yourself. You work through those things. You deal with some of your past pain and heartbreak and your self-limiting beliefs, and you kind of give birth to a new you. At age 18, you're not the same person you were at 15. At age 21 to 18, 25 to 21, etc. You know, but some people, they could definitely have some issues that cause them mental conflict and stress and anxiety and these fears or insecurities that they have about their image or their status or doing love but wanting to be in relationships but not wanting to be more vulnerable and authentic. And then they get in these relationships and then they're always afraid that the other people eventually are going to see the truth that they're hiding. And when those people are ready to move forward and live their more authentic life and they're more codependent and align with their fear or their defensive nature or other people in their life or the world, then they try to confuse people about the truth about why those people left. Those people aren't who you thought they were. They hide the truth about the people in their life who moved on. Because their dream is to be in a relationship where they don't have to detach from this way of living life that probably makes them feel stable and secure and balanced within themselves. Doing life any differently, where they have to let love and intuition guide them. No, let's keep repeating this old pattern. This is the way my mom and dad lived life. We're going to follow that template. I'm going to say this, you say that. I'm going to act like this, you act like that. Let's do that pattern. Because I don't have hope and faith and belief that I have what it takes maybe to create my own dream. So I kind of deceive people that I'm willing to bring a dream into reality where we will create our own dream. But they're not willing to listen to their intuition and their creative, inspired nature to create their own life. No, I have fear of doing that. What if I fail? What if it doesn't work out? What would people say? Maybe people would judge me. I'm going to play it safe and I'm going to stay in my comfort zone. And I'm going to repeat these certain patterns and I'm not going to even live my more authentic life. And eventually other people don't want to stay in something stagnant, kind of realize it is more about staying in it, more out of fear, insecurity, or pride, or ego, or image, or money. And they want deep, meaningful relationships. And eventually those people move on. And the high vibe people weren't willing to give up their dreams, got out of their maybe more codependent energy, which could be what kind of deceived and manipulated them before, learned to love and believe in themselves, worked through their own emotional confusion and past pain and heartbreaks and fears about loving and believing in themselves and trusting other people. And it's like, I've learned all these lessons. I'm going to take those lessons with me. I'm still going to offer people, be loving and encouraging and supportive to people. But now I've learned to listen to my intuition about people who, because I maybe didn't even realize, I could have used to think that everybody would do love, wouldn't they? And then you realize, no, there's people out there that love could be handed to them on a golden platter. And that is the danger zone. Whoa, I get hurt here. I got to go. I am not willing to get hurt. And maybe some people think that if they were to do love and it didn't work out, because there are no guarantees in life, we don't know when people are going to drive their life off into the ditch, when people are going to get caught up in this or that or whatever, you know. For some people, they would maybe feel like they couldn't pick themselves back up again. So they're not even willing to go on the roller coaster of life emotionally. And other people are like, I want to go on the roller coaster of life, God. High vibe Scorpio, willing to explore the mysteries of life emotionally. I know that everything I go pursue isn't going to work out the way I want. But I'm not going to stay on the merry-go-round over here in my mental conflict, in my fear, in my defensiveness, and watch other people go be more bold and brave and confident and get on the roller coaster. I'm going to get on the roller coaster. I've just learned these lessons about if people are immature, and I don't like immature people. See ya. If I know people have a lot of mental conflict and a lot of stress about love, oh, been there. See ya. If I know people are deceptive and manipulative, see ya. People are stubborn, bossy, controlling, prideful, egotistical, secretive, materialistically more motivated than a more just and fair and balanced relationship, see ya. You're someone I know. You're someone I might work with, that I visit with out. We can wish the best for everyone. But the people I'm going to invest in and get more involved relationships with and be more authentically myself and loving with versus, our regular social ways of being with people. The only people I'm doing that with are the people who I think are being authentic, who really are who they say they are, who really do walk the talk, have that hopeful, believing spirit, listen more to love and intuition for the decisions they make in their life than lust and greed and pride and ego and fear and insecurity. Those are the people I'm going to have new beginnings with. Some of you have already moved on to have those new beginnings. Some of you have been doing all this work within yourself to work through all the emotional confusion of these complex feelings that we have as human beings, and you're just getting ready to have that new beginning. And while you're doing that and moving forward, some other people are going to go repeat this old pattern again with someone else. And they'll repeat the same pattern maybe with another person. And some of the people they've gotten in new relationships are going to leave because they kind of see the truth too, that, you just create the illusion you're going to grow up one day. You're going to temper your ego or your fear or your insecurity or whatever. And then we're going to have this new beginning, but it keeps not happening. And other people get illuminated to the truth. And other people move on. Let's go see what's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Virgo energy that they might not see coming up. The 9 of Swords and the 5 of Pentacles. Why? Because of the Emperor. So, the Emperor, which anyone can harness that energy. The High Priestess and the Hierophant are like in tarot. We have the Pages, we have the Knights, we have the Kings and Queens. Then we have the Emperor and the Empress. Then we have the Hierophant and the High Priestess. The Emperor is about, I've learned all these lessons in life. I have let my heart run my life and kind of drove the rest of my life in the ditch because I love them. I let my worldly nature run my life, and some things I could have gotten caught up in kind of threw my life out of balance. I could have been in my defensive nature, living more from my mind than my heart. I let my passionate nature run my life, and I've realized that all 4 aspects, and in tarot we have the 4 suits of the deck, all these aspects of myself are equally important. And that's what some people haven't seen. This is all 4 air sign energies. Gemini's air sign energy, Aquarius is air sign energy, Libra, which is kind of implied here between the 5 and the 7, is air sign energy. And then we have earth sign energy, more aligned with living more from their mind than their heart. And we all, I think, for the first 30, 40 years of our life, can be kind of more tipped into balance, out of balance, and tip more slightly in favor of the world and doing all these things and motivated and inspired by all these things, because we get indoctrinated in the world that tells us we should make our life about all these things and we'll be happy. And then, we have to go through this process of kind of seeing through the illusion that there's more to life than all these things that the world tries to tell me. It's about loving and believing in myself, believing in my dreams, listening to my intuition, learning lessons in life. So then I realize all four aspects of myself are equally important. And if I disregard certain aspects of myself, like my emotional nature or my creative, inspired, intuitive nature, I'm going to feel not very abundant in my life and probably confused because all four aspects were given to me as gifts. And if in my worldly philosophy of life, I am willing to invest in my more emotional, fiery nature of believing in myself, listening to my intuition, being inspired to believe in my dreams, that opens up so many more opportunities for me. Some people are doing things and they're not listening to their intuition. Their intuition was given to them as a gift to help navigate in this world, just like bats have sonar. But bats don't have free will. They just listen to their sonar when they're navigating in the dark. We as human beings meet all these people who can wear false masks, hiding their truth of what drives them, motivates them. We were given our intuition to help us navigate these things that people are hidden in the dark. I don't care if you're smiling in my face. My gut tells me you're not telling the truth or you're evil, you know? But we have these lessons to learn. So as we learn these lessons, it's like you got a superpower. I can go out there in the world. You've detached from people who try to maybe put you up in your head, people who are up in their head about love. You've seen the truth of it. Now you're focused in your Gemini energy on truth and love. And that's how you're moving forward. That is in your Taurus energy, your philosophy of life and your truth that guides the decisions you make. And you're making really good decisions in your life. Bold, brave, confident, inspired. You saw through the illusion. You saw how things within yourself manipulated you. Other people in the world tried to manipulate you. The world tried to manipulate you. I'm going to go live my authentic life from love. I'm going to treat other people the way I like to be treated, and I'm going to treat people with respect and kindness and encouragement, and the people who are on that same page as me will move forward with me, and there will be people who will not like me because they don't understand why I'm not manipulated by some of the same things that manipulate them. Why aren't you in a lot of mental conflict? Why aren't you stressed out? Why aren't you acting a certain way and dressing a certain way and trying to kiss these people's butt and doing this and doing that? Why aren't you in your fear and your insecurity? It's like, because I already been there and done that. And I freed myself from it. But they don't feel comfortable with people who kind of aren't still manipulated by the same things they are. So some of those people, even though you're very abundant and loving and nurturing, are going to leave you out in the cold because being around you could start to make them kind of think about why they live their life the way they live their life. Why aren't they living their life like that? And they'd rather just not deal with it. Let's get rid of you, and then I ain't got to deal with it. And I can go back to hanging out with my friends and family members, and we all live life like this, and then we don't have to question how we live our life. And so you're going to go find the people in the world that harness high vibe Gemini, high vibe Taurus, high vibe Aries in their earth sign energy of Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn, Cancer, Pisces, Leo energy, who have freed themselves from some of the same things that you freed yourself from. And those are the people you're going to move forward with and have these new beginnings with and these deep, meaningful relationships with. Now, there are going to be otherworldly people who just want, that are from your past and that you're going to meet in your future, that are going to want to just be the next person to indulge in a relationship with you. But now that you've been illuminated to the truth that not everybody is who they present themselves as being, you're going to make small gestures, is what the page talks about, to get to know people. And you could get to know people for quite a while with the 1 pentacle to the 5 pentacles. But before you get in a more deep, meaningful relationship with them, you're going to be listening to your intuition about the truth of what drives and motivates them. And the people who you realize are other people who harness this energy in a shadowy way, you're going to move on from them. And the people who seem to be on the same page as you are the people you're going to move forward with. What's coming up for some people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy that they might not see coming up? Some people in your life were deceptive and manipulative because they wanted to go indulge in someone else. And then they thought once they went and indulged in that person, that because maybe thinking you're still in your ego about it, that they could come back and reconnect with you. But if your intuition tells you, you haven't changed, you're the same person you were before, and you're trying to confuse me about the truth and hide the truth, you are being deceptive and manipulative. You weren't being truthful and honest and authentic. Now, we can have other people in our life who did learn lessons in life, who are offering us the truth and being authentic. Those people we would be willing to reconnect with. And the people who still want to hide the truth, and there's other people who would like to be in a relationship with you, but until you get caught up in your ego and go repeat some poor past pattern, they're not going to get in a relationship with you because they only want to be in relationships with people who are in shadowy energy. So as you keep moving forward, it kind of keeps those people at bay because they know that you would require the truth and justice and fairness. And that's not the kind of relationships they like to be in. What's coming up for worldly, shadowy Virgo energy? Yeah, so there's some people right now being shadowy, and they're stressed out because some of the people in their life want to know the truth about why they didn't move forward in a different relationship. And they're trying to confuse those people about the truth, and they're stressed out that those people are going to listen to their intuition and realize that either they wanted to, it was all about them, and they wanted to indulge in something, and they wanted to win at all costs, and it's really just about them, and they let those people go because if they thought whatever they went to indulge in, kind of indulging their more immature nature, would work out the way they wanted, and then it didn't work out the way they wanted, they don't want people to know the truth about it. And like I say, there might be some other people moving away. We have the Empress and the 2 of Pentacles. Why? Because of the 6 of Swords. So some people are like a bad mother to themselves. And they indulge their more worldly nature of juggling. Well, I don't want to pick a path. I want to present myself as like a shining star in the world. That I'm this pillar of society, that I'm this stable, grounded person, that I am a counterpart to the emperor, that I make these good decisions in my life. That's the image they try to present, but then they juggle. Oh, well, I kind of create the illusion I want to do love, but I'm really kind of more about myself. Or I create the illusion that it's love, but it's really more about money. I create the illusion it's love, but it's really more about me. And that's their idea of the dream life. And because they live their life like that, they're always going to have some high vibe people in their life. They're harnessing shadowy Libra, Taurus, Capricorn, and Aquarius. And sometimes they try to get people who harness this energy in a high vibe way, who are more just and fair and loving and balanced, who look at life from a higher perspective, have seen the truth, and have hope and faith and belief and love. And they try to get those people to move forward with them in a relationship. And then once they get them to do that, then they want to go back to juggling. Well, I don't really want to invest in you. I really am kind of more about myself. I want the status and the ego and the image and all the perks that come with it, but I really don't want to do love. I'm kind of more about looking like a shining star in the world, and maybe about me being indulged in the world. And eventually some high vibe people in their life move on. You can go juggle someone else. I see the truth. And I'm going to go find people in the world who I think really are a counterpart to me. And then, because those people leave, they're going to lie about why that person moved on. They certainly don't want to say, well, that person was more just and fair and loving and encouraging and not as manipulated by things as me. So they're going to hide the truth again. And they're going to go try to manipulate someone else to juggle. And some of them right now might be... You know, another way to read this, though, I mean, sometimes some people aren't going to move forward with some people. At any time in our life, we could have people that we're moving forward with, that we have hope and faith in. But then maybe again, as time goes by, there could be some people in our life who could want new beginnings with us, could love us, could be encouraging and supportive. But we could know this isn't my truth. And I might be tempted to move forward in it because something else didn't work out, that I feel a little left out in the cold. And I would be creating an illusion. So I need to do this work within myself to think about what my truth is and deal with my mental conflict. That if there's people who want to move forward with me in a relationship, or say offer me a new job, if it was that, but I just don't, my gut is kind of telling me we're not really on the same page. What kind of drives and motivates us, again, we could feel like people are kind of just and fair and loving, but maybe we feel like have some illusions about what it means to be in a relationship, or maybe they have a little bit of a lack mentality, or a little bit more about maybe being bossy and controlling, or stubborn, or materialistic. And it's like, I just think you could be a lovely person. I just don't know that it's my truth. Then some people are going to take this time to regroup and do this work within themselves, to work through their own fears and insecurities and mental confusion about detaching from that relationship, and to basically free up everyone to go get in relationships with people who really are more on the same page as them. And not give up their dreams. You know, we can all have lovely people in our life that we could have thought we were on the same page, and everybody can be lovely people, but kind of what I think drives and motivates us as to why we want to move forward and is just different in some way. That it's like, if some people realize, I think I'd be kind of giving up my dream, and why would I do that? Is it because I'm more codependent? Is it because I haven't learned to love myself and I have a lack mentality? Well, then I need to do this work within myself and not move forward and get myself caught up in something that by worldly standards could look great, maybe make me look like a boss in the world in some way, like I got it going on. But if I have to hide my truth, that's too high a price to pay. And if I think there's people, or that I might meet as I move forward, that are more on the same page as me, that I feel maybe we're more compatible, instead of maybe two high vibe people who are loving and nurturing and supportive, but maybe moving forward in a relationship more because they feel left out in the cold because a different relationship didn't work out. That's not a good reason to get in a relationship, and there could be karmic consequences for that, you know? The truth is what sets us free, and some people are willing to speak the truth about it. Some people aren't, and they're going to keep moving forward in something, just maybe hoping it'll work out or things will go better. But some high vibe people have seen the truth, and they're willing to deal with the truth. There could be people they wanted to have move forward with them, and those people aren't. It's like, well, my dreams can only come into reality with people who are on the same page as me. I'm not going to get all caught up in my head about it. I'm going to work through it. And I'm going to keep moving forward, believing the divine has a plan for my life. And I think as you do that, the divine will help you. As you do this work, it illuminates more how you're not on the same page with some people, and that you have other options as you move forward and opportunities with people who are more on the same page as you. Oh my gosh, that got long. Okay, there you go, Virgo. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.